And here we are. Hello, welcome to this week's thrilling, exciting, unbelievable.
Don't build it up.
I've said exciting twice. That's a bit of a letdown. That shows my limited vocabulary. Impressive. Mythras adventure. So Mythras is a rule set based around the percentile dice. So skills, characters have skills that they can roll, and basically difficulty is set from very easy to formidable, and also combat is extremely dangerous. You have hit locations, you have separate hit points. It's not a level based system, so characters do not necessarily get more powerful as they go up. Their hit points stay the same right from day one, and their armor, etc. There's no magical items, there's no races apart from humans for characters to be, and there's no classes. So you can have a knight in shining armor that casts miracles, which is the clerical's thesis spells. So it's completely and utterly different from Dungeons and Dragons. However, it is a fantasy role-playing setting. So if you're here to see some wonderful role-playing, then you have come to the right place, because I am just brilliant at it. So we'll leave it there. And before I give you a quick synopsis of the story so far, I'm going to allow the players an opportunity to say who they are and who they are playing. And we start off as ever by going down there to Chugga.
Hi guys, I'm Chugga. I play Gulliver, the ginger-haired, freckled-faced, scrawny-looking young man who loves cheese, animals, stories, but most of all talking. He is a member of the Order of the Kraken, which is one of the 4 sorcery orders on Odys. His particular order specializes in spells concerning teleportation, transportation, and communication. So as a sorcerer, Gulliver has the ability to shape his spells. He can combine spells into one casting. He can change the duration, the magnitude, the number of targets that it can affect. And I shall pass on to Medivac.
Hello, everybody. I'm Medivac, and I play Hazra Khan. He's a nomad from the Grey Ghost tribe, which unfortunately he lost while out defending his tribe. They disappeared. So now he's been helping people through the wilderness, and he's fallen on this group of people here who are on a mighty quest, and they are now his tribe, or he looks at them as being his tribe. He's just lost his spear, which he was
losing stuff, isn't he?
And then he got himself a new spear, which then has apparently been taken off him as well. So at the moment he's feeling a bit low and a bit down and beaten. Things have changed. He's not used to what's going on. He's a little bit confused and angry, and yeah, bless him. So with that, I shall pass on to Longshank CPG.
Thanks, Maniback. First of all, can I just say I was completely hypnotised at one point by Mr. Pickles' cat's tail. It was just going.
We're often hypnotised by Mr. Pickles' cat's tail.
Hi guys, I'm Longshank CPG. I'm playing Hengist. He is the group's warrior, general source, like armoured. I'm just going to kill everything, but he's slowly been kind of like leaning away from that. But after the revelation that he had last week, he might go back into I'm going to start killing stuff again. Because he has been. The whole reason he came to Lindo in the first place, and Odys, was to find his sister. He kind of like explored a little bit, couldn't really find her, and then got swept up with this quest that we're on. And then all of a sudden, I mean, he's not 100% sure that it was her, because after all, he was hit very hard in the head earlier on. Almost knocking him out completely, but he saw a woman who looks just like his sister, so he's kind of like going at the moment, and he had a huge belly laugh at the end of last session. And I'm going to pass it on to Mr. Pickles.
I am Mr. Pickles, and I'm going to be playing Bartleby Fumus today. Bartleby is a follower and theist of Amriel, the goddess of the White Moon, mostly because she saved him from death at the hands of criminals, when they mangled his hands. Through his goddess, he's able to perform miracles, mostly relating to healing, energy, and light. He can make candles go ablaze. He can heal people. He can fill them with energy from his goddess. In his downtime, though, he loves to watch candles be made, share stories of monsters and history. He's particularly knowledgeable about stories of monsters. It might not always be accurate. He's easily spooked and generally pretty naive about other people. I'm not easily spooked, Inwills. Come on. And with that, I'm gonna throw the microphone over to you, Inwills.
Yeah.
Let's get
Sorry.
this.
Well, while you were talking, Mr. Pickles, I was trying to adjust your camera to try to get the top of your head on. Because I can't. Yeah, that's better. And I thought, oh, have I adjusted it wrong? But I think, yeah, that's better. Yeah. Perfecto. I can move it back now. Excellent. Okay then. So let me give you a brief synopsis of the story so far. The party of adventurers are searching for 3 items that will allow them to travel to a hidden oasis owned by Cassini the dragon. They have 2 of the items already. A bracelet that Bartleby is wearing that is slowly sucking his life force, and a funeral mass that they found in Hazaret's treasure. Hazaret was a barbarian lord, and his treasure was his beloved wife. And after they'd gently took it and went off. At the grave site, there was 3 other items: a chalice, a bust of the beautiful barbarian's wife, and an oil lamp. Anyway, the party set off with the funeral mask, and I think that all you took.
And the bust.
And the bust, yeah.
We took because we got that at the bottom.
Yeah, okay. Oh, yes, you took it off Tobias, who had died, yeah. Anyway, the party went back to the town of Advent, and while they were there, they were trying to discover a way to get back to Lindo, which is their starting point. They came via a magical portal, and they decided to probably get a caravan route to Sildur, which is the next nearest town. They were called upon to make a meeting with Finiel, who was the person who actually accompanied them on Hazaret's treasures expedition. When they got there, they found that although meal had been set out for them, the actual place was empty, and Gulliver found in a most particularly placed of items within a bedroom. He found a coffer or a small chest, and inside there was a cloth or something, and the remnants of what could have been a chalice pressed into it. They were then called back by a street urchin to the tavern, the Wild Wyvern, when Gulliver was accosted by another blue-robed magician, sorcerer, which basically stated that something had gone wrong with the recent council of sorcerers that takes place every month on the island, on the continent of Odes, and there had been an attempt on the great white wizard's life, Gwyneth. Gulliver, because he was not in Lindo or on the far side of Odes when this happened, is above superstition, and the blue-robed sorcerer said that Gulliver had to find out. He then finished the sentence by saying, "and please be wary of," and then started to choke on his food. At the same time, all the adventurers slowly succumbed to the poison that had been put into their food, with Hazaret, I think, if my memory serves me right, lasting the longest and seeing various things happening. The party then found themselves out in the open in carts, wagons that were full like cages, where Bartleby and Gulliver were trussed up like Christmas turkeys, hands and wrists tied, mouths gagged to prevent spell casting, and blindfolded. Hengist and Hazaret were subject to fun by a group of boarkin, half men, half boars, and some almost like ninja-looking bandits. Hazaret fought well, however, failed and took quite a big beating. They were then offered water, which of course they naturally took because they are in an exhausted state, and that in a similar way was poisoned, and they ended up awaking in some kind of underground prison. At the end of the last adventure, the party were in the prison cells. Gulliver and Bartleby their blindfolds are removed, but that's it. And they were approached by what appears to be almost like a heavy-set guy, obviously the leader of the bandit groups and the Balkans, who basically said that, they're waiting for something or somebody to arrive where their fate will be decided. And at that point it was that Hengist noticed that the rather scantily clad lady draped over the arm of the barbarian or bandit lord was the sister that he had given up hope of finding and stopped searching for a long time ago, suddenly there before his eyes. And at that point they turned and left the party in the prisons. And that's where we pick up the adventure tonight. You all should now be able to see the prison cell that you're in. Yeah. Hoping that the dynamic lighting is still working. So you can see, remember the gap in the bars. The gap is not a gap before you suddenly think it is. That is just where the entrance or exit to the prison, where the door would be. You can see this wall here, if you remember, is low enough for you to look over, but the bars then extend to the ceiling above it. So you can see that there's implements of torture on the opposite side. This is raised higher than everything. You can see the steps going up it, and you can also see that the light is being given off by candles or torch brackets in the wind. That one's slightly misplaced. Yeah, and that is where we left it last time, when they slowly left you by yourselves. So is there any questions that you would like to ask, just for clarification, before we actually start today?
Bindings as far as Gulliver and
Gulliver.
We were legs, hands behind our backs. We were then blindfolded and we were also gagged.
Yeah, so you guys are still your ankles and wrists are still tied in a similar way.
Right.
You are still gagged. However, you no longer have blindfolds on, hence you can see. Hazra and Hengist, okay, you are tied, but you are not blindfolded or gagged. But
and
you,
are our hands tied behind our backs?
yeah, on everybody. You came to a conclusion last week that the bandits were not some kind of amateurs that would sort of like allow, it's not the sort of like things that they've tied you in front and accidentally left a sharp object in your thing so you can cut yourself on it. It looks like they're very professional. You have never seen so far, apart from the bandit leader, the face of anybody. You've just seen the eyes. Was that somebody else talking, or
no? It was all right.
Okay. Yeah, and so it doesn't look like whatever you think, you definitely assume that they are proficient and very good at their jobs. One thing that you do notice, just so you know, Bartleby and Gulliver, you have your magic points fully restored. They have naturally regenerated through, and you do have all your luck back. Is it luck in this game?
Yes.
Yes. So it's luck and Call of Cthulhu both have, Mythras and Call of Cthulhu both have luck then.
Yeah, it's Shadowrun that has edge.
And then Shadowrun has edge, yeah. Cool.
And as far as what's in the cells, are we? Is there like a something that we're sat on, or?
Yeah. So basically, if you look at the cell of Hazra and Hengist, yours is practically the same as that. So there seems to be some kind of two sort of like Hessian sacks that seem to be filled with straw or damp hay or something like that, that is given for your to lie on or sit on. There's also a potty bucket, as I call it, for your waste products, and you do know that no food or water has been given to you here at the moment. If you remember last time, you just woke up, and then the thing that happened last time happened, and then that's where we finished. So you have still all got that exhausted level of experience of fatigue. Yeah.
Okay.
Just this wall here. If I had arms unbound, could I reach onto the table and grab anything that's on it?
No, the
bars go halfway up.
Yeah, so you can almost like see over the top of it, but you can't actually. You would have to just drape your hands over the top of it like that.
And even if I was stood on somebody's back, I couldn't still reach.
No, you don't think
It's
they
too far
have.
down.
Yeah, you don't think they've been stupid enough to leave a sword
Yeah, I was
there.
Yeah.
And remember, guys, the only armor or the only clothes you're wearing is whatever your underclothes would have been.
Commando.
You have no boots on or anything like that, and you literally have no jewelry on or anything like that at all. Okay, so
Just one more question.
Yeah.
The floor of the floor of the things that we're in.
the cells, yeah.
Yeah, the cells. Is there anything on the floor? Would it be possible to do any type of marking as a form of communication? Is it dusty?
No, what you see on the floor, it's stone. It's almost like tiny flags of stone down. It looks like it's completely solid. The
Right.
walls are stone as well. You probably would be able to trace something out if you wanted to, but it would be limited, and in that sense.
Okay, so
I've got. Sorry, before we start, I've got a question. You say where our hands and feet or legs are bound. Are we able to shuffle or walk a little bit, or is it kind of like
You
bound so much that we can't actually move?
No, you can shuffle around on your bottoms. That's fine. You wouldn't be able to shuffle stood up.
Okay.
You would literally have to jump.
Yeah. Okay.
And remember that your hands are tied behind your back. So
Yeah.
if you did fail your athletics roll,
Yeah. Fine.
you would go forward. Don't worry though, because your nose would.
just on that same note, in that case, then how do we use the potty?
Yeah, that's why I asked.
It's a very interesting thing because you've just woken up, but you can see it's been put there.
Is there any sign of the other blue wizard? Because we know that he was actually in another wagon. Is there any sign of him in this place?
Yeah, interesting you say that, and the answer to that question is he's not in your cell, and Hazra and Hengist, you know that he's not in your cell either.
No. Okay.
He's not in either of the cells, and there's no sign of him. There's not like a blue robe sort of like left somewhere or anything like that.
Okay, so the first thing Gulliver wants to do, he wants to look down at his feet and just to see what he's actually bound by. Is it rawhide or is it rope? Or
It looks like it's some type of cloth, and just roll your commerce roll. It looks like, quite remarkably, and you can see it on Bartleby's as well, it looks like silk cloth that you've been tied with, which you recognise to be extremely strong, but not to sort of like cause you harm. So it's not sort of like cutting into your skin and causing you to bleed or anything like that, but it is holding you quite firmly in place.
okay, the first thing that Gulliver wants to start doing is shuffling over towards Bartleby.
Yeah. You can move your token. You should have. Can you move your tokens?
Yeah.
Yes, so Bartleby, you see Gulliver move it. I don't know why Gulliver's smaller than everyone else, by the way.
Maybe it's because I'm the youngest.
Yes.
And his token's a lot smaller as well. I don't know what. Okay, so there you go. That's better.
Bartleby is just sitting patiently praying to Amriel to give him the energy to continue through this trial she's putting through.
Yeah, and remember, sorry, something that I didn't mention. Bartleby, you were having that reoccurring dream.
Yeah.
If you remember that, it's sort of like a full moon that almost like was slowly eclipsed by almost like black ink or cloth or something like that, as it, not like another moon passing over, it's just sort of like drained, as if it was blood draining down.
Is it silk that's over Bartleby's face, mouth as well as a gag?
Yeah.
And is it just over or is it in?
It's in. So it's literally in the mouth and tied behind. You both, by the way, you are actually made two things that makes you know instantly that they know how to deal with spellcasters is, number one, how you are bound, and number two, the fact that you're so exhausted. So they obviously know that you have certain requirements to cast spells, and plus, and for Hazra and Hengist, the fact that you are so tired, it's almost like even if you did try to make an escape, you would be so tired and exhausted, you probably wouldn't put up a good fight.
Okay.
And they're not sort of like looking at prisoner of war and obeying the Treaty of Versailles or anything like that at the moment.
Are the middle partitions, are they stone or wood?
These
bits here.
Yeah, they're stone.
Okay.
And the bars at your front are metal.
That was my next question. Hoping I would. Okay, so Hengist is also...
And just to let you know, you've got some troughs in that I've just noticed.
Excellent.
Has that got water in?
No, they haven't got anything in. Apart from Hazra used yours, Hengist, a little bit later. I think that's where the food goes in, so... Unlucky!
So yeah, Hengist is gonna shuffle over to Hazra as well, because he knows Hazra has been a little bit beaten up recently. And he's also then going to, so he's going to say to Hazra, and then he's going to say that girl was my. He's not saying it to himself, but he's going to go, that girl was my sister. I've been looking for her since I came to Odus.
Could Gulliver and Bartleby make a perception roll, please?
I was hoping I might be rudely eavesdropping.
So both of you can actually hear these words. You notice that the acoustics of these cells are such that it appears that voices are being carried round the cells. You figure it's probably almost like a mental trick, in the sense that if anybody was being tortured in the middle bit, their cries or whatever would actually reverberate around the cell, so you would actually hear exactly what's going on at every point, so almost like going through that mental emotional states, as well as being physically drained.
Okay, so Hazra's going to be, he's going to look at Hengist and say, what do you mean? And try to keep your voice quiet if you can.
My sister was taken months and months and months ago by the people wearing the twin-headed snake emblem, and I tracked them all the way to the ocean where they missed the same boat that they were on. and they said I knew they were sailing to this place, Odist, and then I followed as soon as I could. But as soon as I landed here in Linde, I lost all sign of her, and I had been looking, but I'd almost given her up. So happy I'd found her finally. We must break out, and we must save her.
You've seen her here, have you?
Just now, she was the woman on that guy's arm.
Really? So she's working with his demons.
Well, she was taken forcibly, but it has been months. No, it can't be. She's not working for them. She must be under some kind of spell. Perhaps Gulliver or Bartleby will be able to break it.
People in captivity can do strange things. And looking at the items in this room, it could break a person.
Gulliver wants to do one of two things. The first thing he wants to see is, if it's possible, he wants to use the stone edge to try to start to move his arms at the back. I don't know how high it actually goes up. Or what?
You mean the back wall?
No, the partition one.
Yeah, so that almost like goes up to your just slightly above your sternum, about level with your clavicle, your collarbone here.
Okay, so that's not going to be possible. There's nothing else that's going to give a stone edge anywhere in the room apart from that.
Not that you can see.
Right. Okay.
And this almost like reinstates this feeling that you're not dealing with bungling amateurs here. You know, and it's like I said, they haven't accidentally left a sharp edge in your cell. You know, all four of you are quite impressed secretly about how perfect they're almost like their capture technique is. It seems as if they've covered every single opportunity for escape.
Okay.
I was just going to ask if I could, while sitting here watching Gulliver struggle around the room, if I'd be able to roll history or monsters to see if I can bring up in my tired mind any kind of recollection about some organization that's this perfect.
Okay, it's up to you which one you roll. Your history would be for the bandits, and the monster roll would be for the Borkin that you've encountered. So you can roll them both, and then I'll let you know the answers.
Cool. I'm hoping we have time. I'll do history first, then monsters. History, and and monsters.
Okay, so the history roll, these bandits, the only thing that comes close to anything that you've heard of were the group of people that you encountered in Lindo when you were in the slums. It's what Gulliver was voicing his thoughts about last week. They seem to be very similar to those. However, they seem to be a lot more organised. And, you know, they look like they're professionals. They really do. Borkins, you know from your very good role there, that are almost like a hybrid monster race. They are some kind of dark magic brought together humans and boars. And so they literally have the humanoid body, but retain a lot of the characteristics of boars. So they do have tusks. They can maul. They do have a keen sense of smell as well. And they are, although they're quite stumpy and squat, they are extremely powerful. There are rumours, Bartleby, just out of interest, that they have been known that when they actually get really mad, they almost like collapse on all fours and actually charge towards the person, almost like lolloping along the ground. as if they were going back to their old-fashioned boar nature. There also are stories that they're not the best eaters. They tend to ignore cutlery and their hands. They do have hands, not hooves, or paws or anything like that. But they do tend to have a plate full of food and just sort of like snuffle around with it, eating it, rather than actually using cutlery and things like that. Yeah.
Gulliver's going to rest for a few minutes before he tries to do the next thing. He wants to make sure that he doesn't get any more fatigued. Once he's rested, he wants to start shuffling over to the door, the cage door.
Yeah, so it's made out of metal. It looks like there's quite a substantial lock, a keyhole lock there. It's quite big, the lock. It's not small and fiddly. There's no padlock, but you can see that if you look at the lock, there's actually 2 bolts that shut it.
Right, it is shut. He was going to lean on it just to make sure.
No, it's definitely
the thing of make them believe that they're.
It's definitely shut and it's definitely locked. And just
The Walking Dead.
And just looking at the lock, it doesn't look like it's old and rusty or anything like that. It looks like it's well oiled. It looks like it's used a lot, etc., etc.
Okay, and how high is the can looking up? Is the ceiling just the same? Is it just a stone ceiling?
Yeah. So the bars are actually inside both the sort of like sunk into both the ground and the ceiling.
Right.
And they literally go from the top down to the bottom. And then the only thing that's different is that the door itself has a metal surround by it. So the door itself, the bars actually go into the metal surround. Yeah? Mm-hmm. And so it will open and shut.
Okay. The next thing he's going to do, he's going to shuffle over to Bartleby again. Bartleby, which direction are you facing?
Probably this map's north. Just staring up over here.
Okay. So Gulliver's sort of like going to go up in front of him and just blink his eyes a whole load of times just to try to get his.
Yeah. So Bartleby, you see Gulliver flittering his eyelids at you, going.
My attention has been gained.
And then he's going to shuffle over so he's facing the wall, and then he's going to turn to Bartleby, and he's going to nod.
So Bartleby, you see, first of all, Gulliver's fluttering his eyelids at you, and then he's nodding at you.
I'm going to nod back.
Yeah.
Confidently.
Gulliver's going to face the wall again, stay there for a few seconds, and then look back at Bartleby, and then nod even faster.
I'm gonna look around to see if there's anything he's trying to point my attention to. Does he have dungeon madness? I'd like to pray to my goddess for a sign, actually. If I can roll devotion.
Gulliver, just type in Discord to me what you're trying to convey.
And just hope that sign isn't Brokeback Prison.
And roll your devotion, Bartleby.
Because I'm sure Amriel will give me a sign eventually. Let's see, magic.
I must say, you're getting some really good rolls to say that you're fatigued. Yeah, Bartleby, you sort of like close your eyes and try to commune with Amriel, but every time you sort of like enter into your trance-like state, that requires you to do some devotion. The only thing that you see is this reoccurring dream of the moon slowly being engulfed in blackness.
Question really quick, because in my notes I wrote down heard Ben Strongheart ? Was that in one dream or?
Say again, sorry.
Last game session, I believe I had a dream, and for some reason I wrote heard Ben Strongheart in the dream. Maybe screaming. I was wondering if that was.
Try to keep up with your campaigning, Wills.
And I'm trying to. Is that somebody's name?
That Ben Strongheart's
Ben.
the one who.
It's Ben.
Oh.
Crashed in the.
Odd. Let's cave his head in.
And
Yeah,
then
I-
he wields a two-handed warhammer.
I
With a
thought
big
what
thing.
you were saying was that I've written down in my notes being Strongheart, and I was thinking who? Well, I wasn't thinking who. I was thinking that's why I said is that somebody's name, because I thought you were referring to that you'd been strong-hearted. That's it.
Oh
that's
no,
the thing.
not at all.
You don't hear Ben's voice or see Ben in your visions anymore now. It just seems to be this. It's almost as if this imagery of this moon is. It's almost as if everything's been blocked out, and the only possible thing that Amriel can send you is this vision. Imagine that there's like a huge wall, and there's just a tiny crack, and she just sends that. So,
It's not to scale.
I have no.
You'll
What?
have to share that later.
What are those two things dangling out?
It
No,
is-
I'm worried.
Which
Hang on,
way?
is this okay for Twitch?
Right, I'm just really glad it's on Discord. Right.
Maybe some violence and nudity.
Oh, right. Okay
Those
then.
are the arrow showing the.
Yes, I've got it. Yeah, I thought it was something to do with the potty. That's what I thought. Okay.
And it's not to scale.
Obviously. Yeah, I see now. I would have put something extra on down at the bottom, but I see now what's happening. Okay then. Are you on the left or the right?
I would have to be.
On the left.
Yeah, I would have to be north.
Yeah, okay then. It's just the size that I was comparing of the top bits.
I told you it's not to scale.
I know.
It's the worst.
So that's what I okay, Mr. Bartleby.
Don't call him Mr. Bartleby because that's too much Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, let's have an insight check on for you to see whether or not you understand. Now, this is it's to see like how much detail you get from it. Okay, do you wish to use a point of luck?
You know what? I would like to use 1 point of luck here to do a reroll.
Okay.
I
Go
feel
for
that
it.
there's a message here, and I really want to push it. And I guess I have to reroll it too. I'll just take the point. And
Oh!
Yes. You get to see the picture of that.
yeah. Hang on a minute. Because it's well worth
Oh.
seeing the picture.
Brace yourself, pickles.
Oh wait, I'm seeing a picture.
I might make sure that your wife's not around.
Yeah.
Hang on, I've just got to save it because it's not coming.
No, honey, it's research.
It's fine.
It's just a
the
game. Don't look.
So when you said you were dungeoneering, you meant something else?
Yeah.
Spelunking.
Oh no!
This dungeon has made us all crack a little bit, I think.
Right. Okay. So if you look in your, I hope nobody's watching this stream, by the way. So Mr. Pickles, if Bartleby looks, if Mr. Pickles, you look in the handout, there is a new handout called Gulliver's Message, spelt wrong, but it's there. And Gulliver, you can actually see that as well.
Okay.
Now, because you got such a wonderful insight check, I am going to cut and paste into Discord what Gulliver messaged me to the meaning of this.
And if you turn around to Gulliver and say, "Is it to scale?"
Oh. Okay. I'm skeptical, but I want to see if this works.
Okay, so yes, so Gulliver, Bartleby does, as you suggested, and you two can roll for me, please. But is there a role that you would like to do?
I think this would be very dexterous.
Yeah.
Um,
It's whether or not we think it. I'm thinking athletics, because athletics is strength and dex. Brawn is more strength and size. And due to the picture, I don't think size is relevant here.
I was thinking double dex because
no, I wouldn't say double dex, because there is an element of strength to it. Has to be, because of how tight things are. So I think athletics is a good one for you both to roll,
right,
and then we'll go from there.
Oh, the innuendos.
All right. You'll go first? Okay. Well, then...
Can somebody roll next and just go 70?
I'm using a point of luck.
To re-roll, I presume.
It's just the wrong number for the innuendos now, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's completely wrong. Yeah, it's unending.
It's all right. It's all right. Bartleby got a 69, which I'm sure.
I'm sure he did.
Yeah. Okay then. And Bartleby, do you wish to use a point of luck?
No. I think no.
Okay, I'm sending you something.
How many points of luck can you use? Can you use another point of luck to look again?
No, you can only use 1 point of luck on each attempt.
Okay.
So what you would need to do now, if you did it again, then the difficulty would increase by 1.
Okay.
Hang on, just let me do this.
Guess you're not successfully manipulating my bindings.
They are.
That's not the rope.
Okay, there you go. I'll just put this into both yours so you can see what's actually.
I'm telling you another question that I wanted to know the answer to.
Yes.
I can.
Yeah, it's still there.
Right. Okay. Gulliver's going to. He's going to. He's just going to keep trying to manipulate.
Okay then. So
Bartleby.
yeah. So we'll leave it for a while, and we'll come over to Hazra and Hengist, and let's hear if they wish to do anything. So while this was all happening in the top cell, when Hengist and Hazra, you were having the discussion about Hengist's sister.
Yeah.
So now we're back to you for you to do some actions if you wish.
Could I, in fact, Hengist, can you turn around? So, and I'm going to whisper this. Can you turn around so I can see your bindings? And I'm going to try and.
Hengist will shuffle around like this.
Yeah, they seem to be tied. Everybody can see this. You're actually tied with what appears to be silk binding in a figure of 8 round the wrists, and then it seems to be done a figure of 8 a number of times, and then wrapped round. So if you think like that, you're not just wrapped together.
It's also
It's
There's a knot bit in the middle.
yeah, and that is the difficulty bit. And again, this is Hengist. You recognise this, that this is a very effective way to tie prisoners together. Their hands and legs together, because it reduces the possibility to try to slip out of it, because it's actually quite firmly round the wrist. Also, if you had somebody who was like an escape artist and could dislocate joints, again, it's made a lot harder because it's actually a figure of 8 and it's holding it together.
Can I see the end, perhaps, or can I see where it's tied off?
Yeah, make a perception roll for me. You can see that you think that it actually goes round and then it's almost like tucked inside the bindings. Like you would do with, say, a bandage. Yeah. So you can't see the end, but you can probably see on Hengist's bindings where the end goes.
Could I try? What I'm thinking about doing is use my mouth to maybe just tease it out.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which binding are you going for?
I'm going for the wrists.
Okay then. So yeah, are you? I presume you're telling Hengist that you're going to do this.
Hengist is the only one that has
I'm
his
going
hands
to try
tied
to-
at the front.
Okay then. So
So I'm going to lay down on my side. So he's sat down. I'll lay down on my side and I'll put my head towards his hand.
So you can make an athletics roll as well. Do you wish to?
It wouldn't make a difference, but I'm going to say no anyway. So
Okay, you could roll it again with luck.
Yeah, in fact, yes, I will roll it again in that case.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yes, because you're formidable. So on the 18, that is successful. So you sort of like you get round the back of Hengist, and you sort of like snuzzle down into the bindings, and you feel a bit of a wet tongue going on, Hengist. And then you do actually, Hazra, flip out the end of it. Just the end. You can grip it with your teeth if you wish at this point.
Yes, I'm going to try to. Well, I'm going to grip in my teeth, and I'm going to try to find out where it goes, and perhaps maybe if I can get it loose enough, he can swizzle it round. If he can move his hands, behind him and go like that, just to drop it onto the floor.
So you pick up it with your teeth, and you sort of like start to unwind it. And what you notice that it goes round a wrist and then it hits a knot. And the knot, you then see the other part of the binding, the silk going out the other side. So they've actually tied the knot and then tucked in the binding. Right. And you got one of those bindings out. So you can get the other one out quite easily probably now, but it comes to a knot.
So, I've done this with the kids' shoelaces, so I'm going to continue to gnaw at this knot and just try to... Because if you get a grip on one part, you can tease it through.
Yeah, so,
make the loop bigger.
So Hengist, you can sort of like feel Hazra sort of like gnawing at the bindings of your wrist. There's a bit of saliva going down your hand. And you can feel that the leather bindings, the silk bindings are actually getting wet now as you're trying to release it. Let's go back to the top cell.
Gulliver is continuing to try to do what he was doing beforehand.
Okay.
So I'll be at now.
No, there's enough times passed now that it'll be a new role. So don't worry. Do you wish to look it?
Yes, but I'll have to roll it again.
Okay, cool. Knock your luck off and roll it again. Oh, you're getting worse instead of better. Yeah, so you, Bartleby, you can still feel Gulliver with your silk rose behind your back trying to release it. And it's while you're both doing this that you suddenly hear a noise from this part over here. And it almost like sounds to be the clumping of boots or something like that. And from out that corridor comes what appears to be 4 boar kings. They seem to be well armoured. They have weapons with them, but they're on their belts. And they seem to be carrying what can only be described as man catchers. Okay, so basically it'll be something that will go around your waist, and it has a long stick at the end, and so they'll be able to move you around. But even if you try to grab them from try to reach around and grab them, you would be unable to do it. And basically what happens, and if any time you wish to do anything and would like to make an attempt to do something, then let me know now. It looks like what they're going to do is open the cells and try to get each of you into one of these man catchers. Just roll an insight roll, each of you.
As soon as Gulliver hears the noise, he is going to shuffle away from.
Right, cool, yeah.
I'm the same. I'll be sort of sitting up if I hear a noise.
Yeah, Hengist would have turned around, so he's facing the door.
Right. Does anybody wish to use a luck roll? No. Okay. So you, by the noise that you heard outside, past this entrance here, you don't think there is just 4 people out there. You think there's a lot more. Okay. So is there anything that you guys would like to do as they open the cage and try to catch you into this man catcher?
No. Hengist is gonna resist.
Yeah, I'm. To be fair, I'm too weak to do anything. I'm just going to.
Did you say Hengist is resisting?
No, Hengist is not going to resist.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Last time you resisted, you almost got knocked out.
And Hazra, you're not resisting either.
I'm not resisting. No.
Yeah. And what about the spellcasters?
We're
resist.
We're bound. Yeah, I'm going to try to. I don't want to be captured. I don't want to be got by him.
Okay then. So roll.
I'll try to evade as a.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Roll your evade skill. So
that was a standard. I would have got it.
Yeah, but you try to sort of like struggle out the way as they come towards you, but they are quite forceful and they just sort of like whack this man catcher around your middle. Once
they come within kicking out distance, I'm going to kick out.
Yeah, and they don't actually, because they're at the length of the man catchers. They're kept well away from you. I'm going to kick out anyway. Yeah, what does happen, and you're quite welcome to keep kicking out if you wish. They look like one of them, and they do the bottom cell first or second, and then the top cell or both at the same time. It looks like once you're sort of like in the top cell, they get you, Gulliver, in this man trap. A man catcher. Bartleby, yours is still sat there, and it looks like the one of the Borkins is going to come up and cut your bindings round your legs. So that would be a golden opportunity if you would like to do an unarmed combat test at that time to try to kick out at him. You can either do it once they've released your legs or before. It's completely up to you.
As soon as he comes down with the knife, I want to try to kick out and take him in the face.
Is this before your legs are separated?
Before that, yeah. So as
then. So roll your unarmed combat skill. you sort of like try desperately to sort of like whack your legs out and try to kick him, but all that you succeed in doing is sort of like tipping yourself over, and you sort of like land on the side, and you feel this Borkin sort of like press down on both your legs and then slit the silk off it, and then sort of like back away. And then you notice that your Borkin then plants you in such a way that you are, one side is wedged up, you're wedged up against the wall, and the pole is wedged up against the cell railings. So if you like, you're sort of like fixed there, you
Right.
know, and then they do the same to you, Bartleby. You definitely get the impression that they require you to walk. It's almost as if they're going to take you somewhere, and that's how they're doing. Bartleby, do you wish to react at all?
I'd probably hold up my legs helpfully so that they can more easily cut it. I don't want to be thrown up against the wall, and I don't want to be jerked around. So I'm gonna
Good
go.
tactic. Try to make friends. Be gentle to the jailers. Try to get into their good side. Yeah. Okay. So they cut yours. And Hazra and Hengist, is there anything that you would like to do while you are treated the same?
Hengist will be as cooperative and as helpful as possible, because he's thinking, 1, I'm getting out the cage. 2, my legs are being unbound, so that's 2 less things to worry about. The next thing is my hands and getting out this like contraption, and then
Okay.
I'm sorted. So
And what
he's
about you, Hazra?
happy.
Exactly the same thoughts going through Hazra's mind. He's one step closer to freedom if his legs are free.
Okay then. So
Gulliver's thoughts are that they're taking them to kill him.
yeah. Okay then. So
Yeah.
so it does look very worrying where they take you, and they lead you up the steps. Could you all roll for me athletics checks? And
This
if
is
you
when we
wish
roll.
to apply luck, if you fail, then by all means roll them again. So everybody failed, yeah? Does anybody wish to re-roll at all, or swap them round?
No.
No? Okay, so as they push you up, you sort of like stumble on the stairs, and you sort of like go down on your knees or something. And basically what they do with quite considerable strength, they almost like lever you back up again by almost like grabbing a little bit closer down the shaft of the man catcher and then pushing up. And most of you, Gulliver, you're quite small and live. And you almost like get sort of like lifted up and propped back onto your feet. And they maneuver you to here. So you should be able to see something slightly different now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the middle, you seem to be in a circular room. There seem to be various exits off. In the top, there seems to be some cells very similar to yours, okay, but a little bit smaller. You also notice that they are both empty. There's then seems to be almost like a gladiator's ring, if you want. The bars around this do not go right to the ceiling. Okay, they are high. They're about a good 2 or 3 meters high, and they are metal, and they're sharpened to points at the top. You can see that round the edge of in the middle, there's just this dark cavernous hole. Okay, it looks exactly how you can see it on the map. You can't. It almost like looks as if light is not going into it. It just looks like a huge, massive hole. And just as you can see, there seems to be the remains of blood stains round that hole. However, the most worrying thing is not the bars or the hole or the blood. What is worrying you more is that suspended above the hole, a good 2 or 3 meters above, on a piece of string or rope hanging from the ceiling, and the other end of the rope coming back to I'll just ping like this point back here is the Blue Sorcerer Gulliver that you met in the Wild Wyvern.
Sorry, I missed the thing. Is he held by his hands? Or
no, he's actually held. He has a piece of rope. The rope goes round his waist, and he's up from the and then he's sort of like hung sort of like from his back, so he's on like an angle. His hands are actually still tied behind his back, but his legs are not. He seems to be quite bruised and battered.
Is he gagged still?
No, he's not gagged at all, and he's not blindfolded, but he looks like he's taken a very severe beating, and from where you are at the moment looking up, he doesn't look actually conscious at all. You also notice that on the opposite side of the circle for you, you have each got a Borkin pressing you forward against the bars, with the man catcher behind you. So you're sort of like pushed against the bars. So you can't, you're just looking straight ahead. And down this side, there appears to be a mixture of Borkin and also what appears to be some of these bandits people. The room is not silent for very much longer. It's quite quiet when you actually get in there. But all of a sudden, there's almost like the bandits and the Borkin that have got spears or swords out start to either bash them on the floor or rap them against the iron bars. And the noise sort of like builds in some kind of hideous cacophony of sound. And all of a sudden, they start to sort of like jeer and cheer. And down at this point down here, appears the guy that you saw before. Okay, he seems to be alone this time, and he just sort of like appears down at that side. And once he sort of like appears, then the noise, everybody sort of like stops, and there's almost silence around, and he sort of like peruses round and sort of like looks around and sort of like thinks, he's almost as if he's waiting for something. And you suddenly notice that as if he's just willed it to happen, the sorcerer, the Blue Sorcerer that you first saw, the Wyvern, the Wild Wyvern, almost like seems to come round. He sort of like moans and then opens his eyes and almost like goes into almost like a state of shock. You know, as he suddenly finds that him sort of like dangling, he looks down, and he can obviously see that it's just a tremendous fall, and he sort of like tries desperately or foolishly to try to rock back and forth to release his bounds and to sort of like try to maybe cast a spell or something. And as he sort of like moves back and forth and turns around, his body slowly moves until he's looking at the bandit lord, for want of a better name, and he sort of
wants to start struggling as much as he can.
Yeah, and as soon as make a brawn roll for me. Do you wish to look it?
No.
And you try to struggle, but as you struggle, the only response you have is the Borkin pushing you even harder up against the bars, and you're just sort of like stuck there, you know, almost like your face is against the bars. And the blue wizard, the Blue Sorcerer, as he sort of like turns around, he almost like meets the face of the barbarian, the bandit lord, and you notice that there's almost like a recognition on this sorcerer's face, and he sort of like shouts out to him almost in defiance. He shouts out, You won't get away with this. You won't get away with this. We know who you are and where you are. We will get you. And there's sort of like this immense amount of laughter and almost like heckles coming from the rest of the Borkins, and it continues for some time as the Blue Sorcerer sort of like twists, and you can almost like see the emotion build again. And in order to stop all this heckling, the Bandit Lord just sort of like raises his hand, and everybody settles down. And again, the Blue Sorcerer, almost in a state of defiance, calls out again, and he shouts out and he says, "They know who you are and what the chalice is used for." And all again, everybody sort of like laughs and guffaws at him, and you can see that he's almost like to tears now, and it's as if he realizes that something absolutely dreadful is going to happen, and he's trying to do his last bit of defiance, you know, almost like to bring everybody to show that he's almost trying to hide his fear by actually sort of like shouting out, and then almost like completely out of character, he ceases to struggle, and he almost like starts to snigger, and he's sort of like, all of a sudden you notice that he's laughing at this Bandit Lord, and after a while he's not sniggering or laughing, he's almost like guffawing with laughter, and he says, in between his laughter, he says, "That's not the chalice you're looking for." And as if this is the sort of like the final part, the final insult that can happen, the barbarian, the Bandit Lord sort of like points and drops his hand, and you suddenly quickly look up to see the sorcerer, but hanging above, thinking that's it, he's literally going to drop down, but that is not to be, because what appears out of the hole appears this bright yellow, huge, really thick snake. And it just almost like looks as if it's been lurking down there to this moment, and it thrusts its way up from the center of the tube, and you almost like you're looking at the sorcerer, and then all of a sudden this vision of yellow comes up, and it sort of like comes up, and the wizard, the sorcerer, is laughing, and then he suddenly looks down, and you can see that this snake's mouth is wide open, and you can see the fangs out, and the snake launches itself up, and it doesn't take the sorcerer at all. It sort of like chomps in his middle, just above the rope, and the sorcerer ceases to laugh and lets out this deafening, this ear splitting sort of like scream, and you suddenly think, what on earth? And the snake just sort of like grabs hold and almost like relaxes, and all of a sudden the weight of the snake, which must be as wide as this hole, the whole weight of it just pulls at the sorcerer, and you almost like think that he's going to be elongated, or it's going to rip the bottom half of him off. But just as you think it's going to tear him into two pieces, the rope at the top is suddenly released, and as the snake falls, you see the rope flicker through some kind of pulley at the top, and the snake goes down, still clutching onto this sorcerer, and they both just plummet straight down into the hole, and you just hear the screams of the Blue Sorcerer as it disappears and start to echo and resound through the hole. And then all of a sudden, the screams stop. And there's literally silence. And
Gulliver is still struggling against his...
Yeah, and there's a moment of silence. And then, as if by a signal, the bandit leader turns to you and meets your gaze one after another, and every time he sort of like looks at you, and you see this smirk on his face, and all of you get the same feeling that, you know, there's only 4 of you left. There was 5, now there's 4, and one of you is bound to be next. And as he looks at you all in one each turn, you notice that a Borkin approaches from this, and he sort of like comes in and he sort of like leans down slightly, and there's some snuffling and also some kind of language is spoken. And the bandit leader sort of like clicks his fingers like this and turns and leaves, and the Borkin and the guards that you see leave via this and this exit. And then you, struggling all the way, Gulliver, you're actually taken back to your cells. And they do not retie your legs. They just sort of like put you in, release you from the man catcher, and then go away. And you almost like hear a snigger, a grunt from the Borkins, as if the night's excitement and entertainment is not quite over yet. The doors are slammed shut, and you do notice they are locked by key, and your cells are locked once more, and the people with the Borkins with the man catchers leave, and you're left once again in your cells. Just to let you know, Hazra and Hengist, you have just got your arms tied behind your backs now. Gulliver and Bartleby, you're still gagged, but your hands are tied, but your feet are not anymore.
As they're locking up, Gulliver wants to try to pay special attention to what happens to the key, whether or not it goes on the key ring, or whether or not one of them is just carrying it. But he wants to try to remember as much about that Borkin, whether or not there's anything distinguishable about it, you know, sort of like
Okay, roll your insight check.
A different arm plate or insight, did you say?
So there's 2 things you notice. One of it is that the key doesn't go anywhere. They seem to be holding it as they go out. Although what you do notice is that your key does not open, only is used on your cell. There's a separate key for the other Borkins for the other cell. And quite unusually, most of these Borkins look almost like identical. One of them might have had a broken tusk. The right broken tusk is slightly, it looks like it's been maybe thrust into somebody and the tip's been broken off. But you're not too sure. It might have just, because it was just a glimpse as they left.
Sorry, just a question. This trough that's in our room here, what's it made of?
It is made, and both of them is made of metal.
Is it rounded metal, or is it
it's
just
rounded
square?
Metal? Yeah,
rounded metal, right. And the bars are clean metal, I take it?
Yeah.
No rust on them?
No. There's not one that looks really suspicious that it's going to snap if you lean on it.
No, I was
You
going to use
can
it
use as a
to
knife.
rub the.
One that's as sharp as a knife edge.
I wanted one that, if I had a bit of rust in it, could wear away the silk, hopefully. Okay, well, if we're back in our cells, I'm going to motion to Hengist to come back over, and I will start gnawing on his binding.
Oh yeah, go for it. Roll your athletics. You sort of like managed to do some gnawing and actually managed to loosen the knot enough to actually allow the bindings to go slack round Hengist's wrists. Gulliver, do you want to roll your athletics?
Sorry, I've got a little fly in the room. Do you know? Come on! I'm trying to do a Miyagi.
What are you doing a Mr. Miyagi way, guys?
I was doing Miyagi.
The thing is, you've got it.
I don't know whether or not this is going to be feasible, but Gulliver wants to.
Nothing's impossible.
And he wants to see whether or not he can move, whether or not he can move his arms from behind his back and shuffle them. You know when you take them behind your bum and lift them through your legs so that his arms are.
Okay then. So make an athletics check.
Not insight.
No.
Shit.
Yeah, so you're trying desperately to do it, but you're not that manipulative or bendy or anything. So you sort of like you've seen people do this before. Do you wish to roll it again for luck?
You know, Summer, why the hell not?
Okay.
If I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die trying to
Lookless.
get out my bindings. Oh shit.
Yeah. So you sort of like try desperately, but you're not made for this. Your power is in casting spells, etc., not an escape artist. And you roll around on the floor, and Bartleby, you can see him trying desperately to get it sort of like round his bottom and sort of like
probably hyperventilating a bit as well because he's now panicking.
Yeah.
After seeing what's happened to the Blue Wizard, he's thinking exactly what everybody else is probably thinking. One of them is next, and they killed the most powerfulest person just then, which was the Blue Wizard. So obviously the next person that is going to be, in Gulliver's eyes, is him.
Right.
Is that why you're really going to fall like a breakdancer?
The only difference would be that, remember, that Blue Wizard looked like he had been severely beaten. You haven't been beaten yet.
Yes. So Gulliver's going to try to get his hands round his front, and after he's done that for a bit, he is going to he's going to stop.
Okay, Bartleby and Hengist, is there anything that you would like to do?
Yes.
Yeah, go for it.
Bartleby is going to be very patient because he knows his goddess is testing him, but he's going to still be trying to get some kind of sign, if I may, with my devotion skill, perhaps.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm going to pray until Amriel says something. Okay, scrolling slowly. There we are, and big money. No.
Yeah, you're still getting the same vision of the moon being engulfed by blackness. It just seems to be reoccurring. You almost like want to shout out, what the F are you trying to say here? Why don't you just tell me instead of sending these stupid visions to me? Because that's all that's coming through, and it's most frustrating that that is happening. Hengist, is there anything that you would like to do?
Hengist is going from where he's trying to sit. He wants to try and keep an eye out down the corridor, so he's straining his ears and as best as he can, looking down the corridor.
Okay.
To get an early warning.
Yeah. At that point, can everybody make a perception roll? Hang on a minute, because the standard for this is just hard. It's not your normal formidable, just so you know.
Sorry, I was on something else. Perception, did you say?
Yeah. Does anybody wish to look?
No, I'm got my head on a straw pillow after knowing his bindings free. I can't hear anything.
Okay.
I've used all.
Okay. So what you do here, and again, you're getting what you might be hearing. You don't know. It sounds as if there's a rattle of a pulley, and the only thing you can sort of like connect it to is the pulley up at the top, as if they're resetting it somehow, ready for the next victim. Is there anything you would like to do?
Gulliver wants to change tact. He wants to shuffle over to one of the cots, not cots, but just sort of like place that you could class as being able to sleep in. These,
yeah,
and he wants to try to make himself as comfortable as possible, and he wants to relax. His thing is to try to recover from his exhaustion and then try again.
Okay. So, how long would it take for you to recover from your fatigue?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. Is it cumulative? So currently, formidable. It says recovery in 6 hours. But
yes,
below that's 3 hours.
So
after 3 hours, does it go?
The recovery period for exhausted is a standard of 12 hours. But that will be adjusted via your stats.
Right. So mine says formidable 6 hours.
So it will take 6 hours for you to cease to become exhausted and move to weakened.
Okay, and then from weakened it would... Sorry, wearied.
Yeah, wearied.
3 hours, so that will be to get both of those down.
Yes, it's going to take...
But wearied would still be formidable. I would need to get to tired, which is 1.5 hours.
Correct.
So I'd need 10.5 hours.
Correct. So you would need virtually half a day here. And that's assuming that they give you some food shortly.
Yeah, how long? That was my next question. How long is it since we had...
You don't know. You haven't had any food while you've been here, and you haven't had any drink either. But as you're sort of like thinking about that, and sort of like thinking, hang on, we haven't had anything to eat or drink, you notice that... Oh, sorry, before we do that, can you... I want you to... I'm just going to move you slightly, Hazra. I'll move you back in a second. I want you, and you probably can guess why, I would like you to number yourself. So you've all got a number on a 4-sided die.
I'll be number 2.
Okay. So if you just add... I'll add it for you. So Gulliver's number 2. Hengist is number 3.
I'll be number 1.
Okay.
I'll be number 4.
Are you sure?
You don't actually have any choice now.
No, but Mayback likes even numbers anyway.
It's
so.
true. I still have the fact it's in red.
Okay, so you start to think that you haven't had food or drink for quite a long time, and it's just while you're thinking about that, you notice a lone Borkin comes to the thing here, and he sort of like comes down the stairs on either side, and looks inside the cage, inside the cell, and he sort of like looks. He seems to be almost like looking and smelling at the same time. He doesn't come anywhere near the bars or anything like that. He keeps his distance, and you might be able to gob at him, Hengist and Hazard, if you wish, but he never comes close enough to actually be able to grab. And he comes and looks at Bartleby, then Gulliver, and then he goes down to the other side and looks at Hengist and Hazard. Could you roll your insights for me, please? Is that everyone? Bartleby, you actually succeed with your critical roll. Does anybody else wish to look at? No. Okay, Bartleby, you figure that this Borkin is doing one of two things. He's either looking for something or is looking for someone as he looks at each one of you. He's definitely got something in his mind, and he's not just casually looking at people. He's definitely searching with his gaze and obviously sniffing a lot as well. And he sort of like, you sort of like, almost like everybody sort of like meets this Borkin's gaze, and he's got those tiny little pig-like eyes, and you can see in that there seems to be no emotion from him. And then he gets to the he sort of like goes to one thing cell and goes to the other cell, and he's just sort of like thinking, what on earth is happening? And he gets up and he goes back to here, and you notice that there's another Borkin joins him, and he sort of like looks at you all again, and then he points at you, Gulliver, with a number 2, and that is where we'll leave it for the break, guys. So if you're watching in the stream, hopefully you're enjoying it. Come back in a second, in about 10 minutes, to see what is the fate of Gulliver, and as he's been singled out by the Boar King. And remember, go and stretch your legs, grab something to eat or drink, and we will be back in roughly 10 minutes. I've got a timer, so we'll see you then.
Come back and watch Gulliver get eaten.
I'm talking. You can
No.
Okay, sure.
Spoiled it.
The first one's out. The other ones will be out. I think it's October and then December.
Right.
So yeah.
Yeah. So, what are you talking about, Size?
Bart's Tale without graph paper.
The remastered version of
Don't need
Bard's
graph-
Tale.
yes,
It's just come onto Steam. It's about £12. But
Bards.
Bard's Tale
Bard's Tale.
was a very old RPG.
Very awesome.
That was on. Well, I think it was on the Commodore 64
Yep.
way back, and then I played it on the Amiga.
It's on the. It says it's on the. The Bard's Tale remastered and re-snarkled.
Yeah,
Snark.
don't know whether or not snarkled's a word.
It's not a real word. It's made up.
It looks very similar to something like Ultima Online.
No. It's you've got one window in the corner, which is literally a forward, turn left, forward, turn left. You know that sort of thing. Other left,
Ooh.
yeah. But
Bard, practitioner, fighter, rogue.
was it 100 by 100 square map at each level?
Oh, I can't remember. I can't remember that much about it. I just remember playing it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's continue playing today's adventure. So the party are trapped, prisoners of a nasty breed of people that involve hooded bandits, but also balking. And they've just witnessed the execution of one of their, not teammates, but somebody who was associated with the party. And a Borkin has actually just come down and examined each one of the players, and then just before he left, he pointed on a roll of 1d4 to number 2, which appears, Gulliver, to be you. The Borkin makes almost like a hideous grunting sound and leaves from the entrance from this part here and disappears.
Was there only one, or was there another one?
There's only one, and to be honest with you, he looked slightly different than the others that you've seen. You're not too sure whether or not he was slightly bigger or slightly more defined, but he was definitely different. Maybe a sub-lieutenant or something like that. You know, he wasn't a grunt.
Was there another Borkin with him though?
There was one that came to the top of the stairs with him,
Right.
when he signalled to you, Gulliver. But that one was more of a lesser Borkin.
Right. But have they both gone now though?
They both certainly have.
Right.
Kraken Wizard, you're about to
Okay.
die.
This would be a good time for one of you to step forward and say, "I will take this tumble, Gulliver. I will save you."
I was actually thinking that
But nobody's-
of waiting for them to come back. But
Well, you're free now. Your bindings are free now, Hengist. So
Yeah, they have been for some time.
I know.
But he's still got his hands behind his back because he's pretending
Oh.
that they're not.
Oh, I see.
He's pretending.
Yeah, they haven't noticed anything at all.
Yeah, because he's got his hand behind his back. If he suddenly had his hand out front and go, "Hello, pick me," they might notice.
Okay, so you all sort of like sit, and Gulliver, obviously you're in quite a state now. I mean, you've just seen a colleague of yours being virtually eaten alive by a giant snake, and it looks like you are next as the dessert on the menu. You've heard the pulley being reset out in the circular room, and to make matters worse, a bandit has just appeared at the top, carrying what appears to be a bucket, and they come over to your cells. Before they do that, is there anything that anybody would want to do when they came to the cell?
Gulliver is is because he's been tied up a lot, and then he's been doing a lot of sort of like movement with his legs, sort of like tied. But he wants to be sort of like putting weight from one leg onto another, one foot onto the other, just making sure he's got full circulation back into his legs.
Okay. Bartleby.
Bartleby is still praying desperately for Amriel. He firmly believes at some point she'll give a sign, she will save us all.
Okay then. Hengist and Hazra, is there anything that you would like to do?
No, Hengist is going to still be sort of like sitting on the end of his haystack with his hands behind his back.
And Hazra?
Hazra will be doing exactly the same because he's still got his hands tied, so he's just going to sit there submissively.
Okay.
So stood up, just so he's not doing it sort of like sat down. He's stood up.
Yeah. Hengist and could you all roll for me, please? Either you can have a choice. You can either roll insight or perception. It's completely up. You roll one or the other, though. You can choose your best skill. So Bartleby, yes. I think Bartleby succeeded. Yeah, Hazra, no. Hengist, no. And Gulliver, if you use a point of luck, you will...
I don't have any luck left, so don't.
Okay then. So yeah. So you the three of you fail, and so this sort of like bandit comes up and seems to empty something through the bars into your troughs, as if you're like balking, and you're going to sort of like eat like pigs. From the troughs in a cruel act of irony, that is almost like making you even more subservient, and sort of like, if you want to eat, there's the food, but you're going to have to stick your face in it and actually trough it up. And it's when they get to your bar, Bartleby, that your what was it? Was it perception or insight? Insight. You suddenly notice that this bandit is not like the others. They seem to have a hood up, and that's it. And it's almost like cowl-like, and it's pressed way over the person's head, and they sort of like swirl in your bucket, and then they look up at you, and it's quite amazing, and you're sort of like looking at this person, and it just seems to look like a normal, almost like servant, a normal passerby, as if you don't recognize this person at all, and yet they're looking at you very specifically, and you're somewhat puzzled, and then it's almost as if this person almost like has a moment of recognition, and they say, "Oh, sorry," and they click their fingers, and almost like a mask, what you think is a magical mask, fades away from their face, and all of a sudden you see, stood outside the bars of the cell, not a bandit at all. It definitely looks like it's Finiel. Bartleby and Gulliver, you recognise that there's a spell called Incognito. That is a basic spell that, when cast, makes the person, they don't stand out in the crowd. And she obviously had it cast on herself, so as she was perhaps moving through the prison, nobody actually took any notice of her, because the spell makes it instantly forgettable as they come back. And Bartleby, you suddenly notice that it is Finiel. What do you wish to do?
I'd like to try and point Gulliver in that direction. You said he didn't quite catch on?
No, nobody else caught on apart from you.
Question:
And can I just say that it's almost as if your prayers have been answered.
Of course,
they are. As if you, moments before, you were not losing faith and sort of like continuing to pray, knowing that Amriel would actually get you out of this situation. And it's almost as if Amriel heard your prayers and has sent a rescuer to you. Yeah, she's currently looking up and smiling at you.
I want to try and nudge Gulliver, and when they poured the slop into our trough, we still have bindings though on our mouth, so
exactly.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we can't even.
And so you sort of like shuffle along, to Gulliver, and you hear Finiel's voice, Gulliver and Bartleby, and she looks at you both and says, "You got yourself in quite a pickle here, haven't you?"
Gulliver wants to shuffle over to the grate and the door where she is, and then he wants to turn around and sort of like shuffle back towards it, so his back's at the.
Oh yes, yeah, I see what you mean. And what she sort of like, you see her smiling, and she says, "Oh, I get what you want me to do, Gulliver." And she reaches inside the slop bucket, and that has obviously been covered in this slop, and brings out what appears to be a small knife. It doesn't look razor sharp, but it looks sharp enough. And she starts to slowly cut through your bindings, and she manages to do yours, Gulliver, so you can then take off the others and remove the gag for your mouth, and then you can help Bartleby. And Hengist and Hazra, while you're sat there, she comes back, and it's then that you suddenly realise that it's Finiel, and she does the same for you. She'll cut your bindings, and she'll give you another knife. It's quite slippy and sloppy because she's obviously hidden in the bucket of slop, and it's only now that it's virtually empty that you've got this knife, and you manage to untie and ungag everybody. And she sort of like says once more, "You got yourself in a bit of pickle, guys, haven't you?"
Once, if she's close to the cage that where Gulliver is, he's going to say in a sort of like a whisper, but with urgency, he's going to say, "You need to get us out of here. They're going to kill me next."
"Oh, now," she says, "to get you out of here, I would need a key."
Well,
you don't happen to have a key, do you?
No, but I think the boy with half a tusk has got one.
"Oh," she says, and she moves down to the other cell, and she looks at you, Hengist and Hazra, and says, "You don't happen to have a key for the cells, do you?"
Do you know, Finiel, I very much wish I had.
"Yes, you're in a bit of a pickle, aren't you?"
I feel like a pickle.
And she goes back up to the top cell, and she says, "You say, One with what? Sorry, what with what has the key?
It was a boar person thing with half a tusk.
Now, what was that his right or his left tusk?
Gulliver's going to do his best to remember what it was and then just give an answer.
You think it's probably his right?
He's going to say his right. He's going to say it was his right tusk.
And Finial sort of like reaches inside her sort of like her ninja outfit, her bandit outfit, and says, "Well, now he has 2 broken tusks." And she, out of the binding, she sort of like brings out a key, and she sort of like passes it to you, Gulliver, so you can actually unlock your cell. And she also has a similar one that she comes down to the cell with Hengist and Hazra and unlocks it. And while that happens, you suddenly notice that almost like a figure appears at the top of the stairs here, and he's almost like looking completely out of place. He seems to have this some kind of the bandit's outfit, but it's really tight fitting to him, and you instantly recognize it as it's Laram. And he sort of like whispers something to Finial, and Finial says to you guys, she says, "Do you know where they're going?"
Where's who going?
The bandits. Laram's been on lookout, and all of a sudden they seem to be leaving.
What about the girl? Was there a girl leaving with them? Blonde, about
He
high.
sort of like turns around to Laram, and Laram just sort of like looks, and he just sort of like mutters something back to Finian. And he sort of like says, "He's just talking about the grunts. They all seem to be leaving."
But have you seen her? She was on the arm of the bandit leader.
She sort of looks again and says, "No, I haven't seen the leader. What's he like?"
Very, very intimidating.
If they're leaving, then we should leave, but we should leave in the opposite direction.
Not without her. She's my sister. She's the whole reason why I'm here. I can't leave without her.
You guys can move out of your cells now.
Gulliver's going to
I'll just get Finial on and Laram for you while you're doing that.
he's going to come out, and then he's going to take this is a torch, is it, if I believe?
Yeah,
Is it?
the torches are reals.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
Laram's massive.
oh my god, he's been working out.
Bigger than the both of us.
So
Lead the way, Laram.
this one
Just block the arrows, Laram. Everyone behind Laram.
Gulliver's going to take this torch off the wall, and then he's going to snub it out, use against the wall,
Okay.
and then he's going to hand it to Bartleby, and he's going to say, "It's probably not the best club, but it's the best we've got."
I appreciate your thought. That will help me walk a little better.
No, it's for hitting people.
Hengist wants to have a look, sort of like over here, to see if any of their equipment happens to be nearby. But
Yeah, it's just right next to you in a chest ready. No, it's not.
well, look.
And it's all been cleaned,
Yeah.
and your sword is sharpened.
It's now plus
I'm
one.
on it.
It's now it's a plus 10 Vorpal weapon.
Vorpal weapon.
Was it a Vorpal?
No, but they might have put it there.
Was it a Vorpal
And I know
weapon
how
that
this
could
thing is
cut off
turning.
people's heads
It
That's
could
right.
cut off people's limbs, yeah.
on a roll of 19 or
Anyway.
a 19 or 20, was it?
I thought it was a natural 20.
Yeah, because I didn't think because we played Advanced Dungeons and Dragons first edition, and I don't think there was ever a critical role in that.
No.
No, that's what I thought. There was never advantages or disadvantages. There was no critical rolls. And you all have your own THACO, didn't you?
Yeah,
so your
to hit armor class
THACO was, to hit armor class 0. So if I would say to you, what's your THACO? And you would say 18. And then I would know whether or not you hit or missed the monster, because I could extrapolate from that 0. And everybody, fighters and mages, all had different tables, didn't they?
Yeah.
To hit rolls. It was unbelievable.
And somebody always had to be an elf, just in case you came up against white.
Yeah, or secret doors, because
Yeah.
there was a chance of seeing secret doors 1 in 2.
Yeah. The white used to age you 10 years. Send in the elf.
It sent in the elf because it didn't matter.
Quick!
It was a bit like the rust monster that they. When I did 5 edition in the mine, they came across a rust monster because Flat Battery didn't know what it was. He just sort of like launched into combat and then came out with just sort of like 2 bits of armor and nothing. But do you want to know what's really good about that? Was the reaction.
It was brilliant.
Because once it hit his shield and it dissolved, it was almost like, oh my god. If you knew what it was, you would say, oh, I get out my 10-foot pole that I've been carrying around.
Just poke it.
And poke it at a distance. Yeah. Okay then. So, God, that brought back memories. Okay then.
Gulliver's going to start looking around for something that he could use as a weapon. Anything, a rock that he could maybe throw, or.
Okay. So who's got one of you two? Have got the knife?
I'm no good with a knife, so
Hengist will take.
There's 2 knives.
Oh right, in which case Gulliver will take a knife. He is proficient in a knife.
Okay, so Gulliver's got 1 knife. Bartleby, you've got a blown out torch.
Yep.
Does that?
Yeah, I can't see Bartleby or Gully anymore.
No, because
we're moving as we.
And Hengist, what have you got?
Hengist has got the knife, but he's proficient in a dagger, so I'm assuming that's different. Because a dagger would be slightly longer than a knife.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to matter much with your rolls due to your fatigue. But Hazra, and what have you got?
I've got a spear of returning. It's got a piece of rope tied to the end.
And you just start to pull it, and it just comes clattering down the stairs.
Breaks every time. It's
Ha! It is a magical spear of return. Yeah, what are you using?
I have absolutely nothing, so I will.
You can pick up a stool.
Oh, a stool. Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. In fact, I will take this torch that's here, and I'm assuming that nothing like this torch being thrust into its face.
Are you leaving it lit?
I will leave it lit.
Okay then. So what I'm going to do is put some light on you.
Can we see light coming from in the down where Laram is, from behind Laram?
Yeah, it seems to be lit exactly how it was beforehand.
Okay.
Yeah. So
going to say we need to get our equipment, and then we need to get out of here.
and Finiel's almost like seems as if she's enjoying this. And it's almost like she's quite pleased that she's come and rescued you. And she looks around at you and says, sorry, do you not have your gear?
Yes, sorry, Finia, but there's a giant snake in that hole in that room there. So...
She goes, yeah, I saw it.
Yes.
And she looks at you and she says, so who was next?
I think it was me, because it looked like they were going to kill them, the person that was the most threat to them.
And Finiel looks at you, Gulliver, and says, no, Gulliver, not you. Surely not. You're too small to be a good mouthful. They would have put somebody else with you as well, don't worry. Laram sort of like makes his way to the side. They are armed. You notice that Finiel has her daggers with her, and Laram doesn't have his big hammer, but he seems to have some kind of a sword by his side. And you do both, all of you notice that they've probably got armor on underneath their black outfits. And
let's kill them and take the gear.
Yeah, that's a typical D&D. I'm an assassin. I will assassinate everybody. Yeah, it's part of my alliance, my alignment.
Yeah,
it's how the world works.
Yeah, I'm chaotic evil. I'll kill everybody. So why have you not killed them for the past 5 adventures? That's my alignment. I'm only playing my alignment. So
Gulliver's going to say to Finiel, he's going to say, Finiel, you need to help us get out of here. Do you know where they're keeping our equipment?
She sort of like says to you, and she says, maybe upstairs?
We don't know where the stairs are.
Oh,
we've only seen the big room with the snake.
And they sort of like Laram and Finiel move out of the thing, so you can move your characters now, however order you would like to go. You will notice that Finiel has gone one way, and Laram has gone the other way. I'll just move them out a bit.
Gulliver will follow around with Finiel.
Okay.
Which way she's gone.
Can you move yourself a bit more? Yeah. And then Bartleby, which way would you like to go?
I'll go
Yeah,
this direction.
well done, because there was a little gap there for you. Okay, so you come out and you part both ways, and Finiel sort of like looks behind her, and she sort of like looks over to Laram, and he sort of like nods, and Finiel turns around to you and says, we came through the barracks, but it's probably not a good way to go. We can blend in, but you somewhat stand out. And she sort of like looks at you, Hengist, and says, nice pants. You know, because you're sort of like sat there in your undergarments. So, as in nice underwear, Mr. Pickles, not pants as in trousers. You do notice that the rope has been reset. And the rope is actually, the end of the rope is here now. As if they would put somebody on it, tie it up, and then move them out over the pit. And she sort of like says, which way do you want to go? So basically, they came in this way here. And that goes to the barracks, which has an access outside, but she doesn't think that it would be sensible for you guys to go back through the barracks, mainly because she can probably incognito herself, which means her face is not recognizable or remembered, but it doesn't change anything about the outfits, and you four definitely don't look like bandits.
That was there to the
Correct,
barrack.
yeah.
Okay. But when we were in here before with the Blue Wizard, the rest of the guards and the pigmen, they left through these ones.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that top one and this one. They didn't go through this one.
And this was where the boss came out of.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So Gulliver's going to tap Hengist on his shoulder, and he's going to say, Hengist, chances are, if they've got our equipment and they know what they have, then it's going to be with the leader.
Yes, and my sister should be there as well. Let's go the way he left.
But can I just say, isn't it better that we get some better weapons before we go that way?
Obviously not.
I'm really pausing. He's carry on walking as he says that.
Do you know where there's weapons?
Well, should we look? I mean, Finiel, was the barracks, was it populated heavily, or
She says,
have they all gone?
she sort of like tries to whisper down, but you're quite a distance away, and she sort of like says, they all seem to be kitting up some for something. They were putting on their armor and gathering their weapons together, as if they were going somewhere.
Would you be able to perhaps go and have a look, see if they've gone, and then maybe we can go in there and take anything that's left?
Yeah, the Laram goes down to the this corridor here, and you see him sort of like disappear round the corner. Let me just roll something for you. He comes back after 2 or 3 minutes, and he sort of like looks over at Finiel, and you can all see his reaction. He's not, all he does, he goes, and Finiel turns to you all and says, we can't go that way.
Hengist is going to gesture down to this one and say, I'm going that way. I think that's where everything might be. That's where the boss was. Let's go this way.
Yeah, and Finiel sort of like moves slightly up and round this corner and sort of like peers round the corner and says, more cells. And then she sort of like moves a little bit further up like that.
Hengist the entire time is almost on her heels. He's got quite an urgency to spring to his step, despite the fact that he's exhausted.
Hengist, wait! What happens if there's more people trapped down here? Are we going to leave them?
We need to get our stuff first, and then we can try and get them
Bartleby,
out.
are you moving up?
Yeah, I guess I will follow them.
Yeah.
I can't leave other people to be eaten by a snake.
The idea is not to leave them, Gully.
I understand.
Maybe I can just go and check. Gulliver's going to take the torch from the...
Okay, yeah, just let me give you some light. There you go. Yeah, so you can see down into the corridor now, and there are 2 cells down there. The occupants of the cells seem to be 2 young children, probably around about age 12, 13, 14. They're not children, they look almost like adolescents, and from what they look like, you figure that they're probably rural people. They don't look like they're posh people from the city or anything like that. They seem to be more sort of like countryside farmers, sort of like children. They look extremely malnourished, and they're just sort of like curled up in each cell. So this is one cell. I'll draw on the doors for you so you can see where the door. So one door is there, and the other door's there, making 2 cells. And they seem to be almost like curled up in almost like the fetus position. From where you are, you're not even sure whether or not they're alive.
Do the cell doors look similar to our cell doors?
Yeah, the whole cell structure looks exactly the same.
Okay, seeing that, Gulliver's going to start going down, but he's going to sort of like almost like run in that direction.
Yeah, so you sort of like run down the passageway and see these 2 teenage children sort of like curled up in the fetal position.
Do they look alive?
They look like they're probably. Do you have a healing skill?
No.
Do you have a first aid skill?
No, I was mainly like, do they look like? Can I see them breathing, or
they look like they're alive, but only just.
Right.
You
okay.
figured they've probably been here longer than you guys, so you can probably guess what their level of fatigue is.
Okay. I didn't say that I was taking our key with us, so I'm going to have to I'm going to have to head back, and as he gets.
I was going to say,
hang on a minute.
hasn't she? Because she opened the door for you.
Hang on. Gulliver, do you want to be odds or evens?
Evens.
Yeah, you don't have the key.
No. So
It's likely that Bartleby has it. Finiel moves, so I'm just moving her while that happens across to here, and she's gazing down that this. I think you can see it from where you are, can't you? Yeah, there's another. Yeah, she's gazing down there.
So Gulliver's going to come back with the torch, and he's immediately going to say to Bartleby, "Bartleby, there's children."
We should save them if Amriel can guide us to them.
Do you have the key? The key to our cell? It might fit.
Do I have the key?
Yes, you do.
Yes. Okay, then I'll hand the key off after being puzzled for a moment.
Okay, so Gulliver's once again is going to run.
Hengist, you can see what you can see in there.
Just hearing what Bartleby and Gulliver have been saying, I'm going to quietly say, perhaps these two keys like ours.
Yeah, and you sort of like get your key and try it in both locks, but it doesn't open either of them. It's as if the cells, Gulliver, each cell has a separate key, and hence why 2 was brought down to your cells. So if somebody actually did steal a key, the chances are it's only going to unlock one cell. Do you know, with all these ideas, I would be great as an evil tyrant. Can I just say that?
And tomorrow we shall take over the world.
Yes. Where do I get all these? It's really worrying that I get these ideas, isn't it?
You should get that computer game where you have to actually play an evil tyrant in a dungeon.
Yeah, I've got
Dungeon
one of
Master,
those.
the Dungeon Keeper, isn't it?
Yeah, that's not around as much. Steam has got, I can't remember what it's got. It's got a similar game.
Yeah, I've got it. It's exactly the same, pretty much. It's just,
I would be brilliant.
It is good.
I could quite easily take over the world, I figure now. Yeah, okay then. Yeah, so it looks like they've got... Say again?
I was just evil laughing. Sorry.
Oh, right, sorry. I thought Gully was talking. Yes, so it doesn't look like your key fits either of these. Interestingly enough, the teenage children don't seem to stir or anything. It does look like they're breathing, but you figure that they're either probably to the level of fatigue, almost like being semi-conscious, maybe definitely incapacitated, maybe semi-conscious, or maybe even getting to the level of fatigue that they're actually comatose. They don't look good at all, Gully, at all. Yeah, Finiel's looking down this corridor. Hazra, what are you doing?
I will move up behind Bartleby.
Okay, and Laram sort of like moves up. Hazra, you can see that Laram is almost like doing a rear guard action. He's sort of like, do you know that fly's coming to me now? You swine.
I just caught a mosquito, which I'm really proud of.
I'm going to waft it that way, and hopefully it'll go into Medivacs now.
No!
Medivac, all the mosquitoes aren't flying.
I'm fine.
That neon lighting behind you.
Can you see it now, can you? Awesome.
I can see it, yeah.
Yay. Wait till the strobe light starts.
Yeah. Hengist, what would you like to do?
Hengist is going to peep around here, and then he's going to slowly, sort of like in a crouch, sort of pad his way down that corridor.
Yeah, how far would you like? Is that?
He's going to go to about here.
Okay then. Yeah. So that's what you can technically see at the moment. Could you please make for me a perception check? You are quite definitely sure that you can hear a rumbling growl. And it's just sort of like it's almost like a snarl, and it's all has to go like that, and it's definitely sounds animal-like. And as you're stood there, all of a sudden on both sides appears what appears to be dogs or wolves that are trapped in cages. And you can see the one now off to you probably can see them in your minimum light, but they've obviously gained your scent, and they're now barking and sort of like a like that. And Finiel and Laram both, or you all sort of think, what on earth? And these sort of like barks are echoing out round the corridor. Finiel immediately sort of like moves back to there. What's the rest of you like to do?
Gulliver's again is going to come up to the end, and he's going to say, "Bartleby, the keys they don't fit."
So you can hear these dogs barking now. So Gulliver comes up to you, Bartleby, and says, "These keys don't fit." What would Bartleby like to do?
Kind of wave at Gulliver, moving towards the barking noise, and as he's moving, and say, "If Amriel wills it, we'll save them." And
yeah, so move to where you would like to be. Yeah.
Peering around this corner.
Okay. Hazra, what are you doing?
I'm muted. I want Gulliver to be in the middle.
Okay, so what you do? Yeah.
Well, I tell you what. No, I heard the barking. I'm going to move forward behind Bartleby as far as I can get.
Yeah, and Laram gets to this point, Gulliver, and he almost like he sort of like goes like this to you. He goes and sort of like signals you to go out of the corridor down towards Hazra as he's waiting there. So anybody can go next. I'm quite happy. Hengist, let's come back to you.
Okay. Hengist is undeterred. Is gonna, now that the dogs are rolled, he's gonna make his way down this way. He's hoping that there's like an end of a corridor, but he can't quite see it.
Okay.
Or like a doorway or another side. The corridor continues.
So as you go down that corridor and you get about level to the dogs on either side, so that you can actually see with Bartleby's light, etc. You notice something coming down towards you out of the darkness, and it appears that the barking of the dogs has actually brought what appears to be a Borkin, and you notice that he sort of like comes running down the corridor, and you notice that he's actually got almost like a leash and like a collar sort of like dangling from his belt on either side, and he's carrying with him drawn. Let me just I just need to assign him Borkin. There we go. And then I can open his character sheet. He's actually got drawn. He's carrying a short spear in one hand, and he's got a shield on his other arm, and he sort of like comes round the corner. And as we go into initiative rounds, please, guys. Let me just reset it before you do anything else. So go for it. I'm just putting on. Just give me 1 minute because I need to get on the other. That's 12 for the ram, and then the Borkin. And gets a 15. Right, 1 second when I reorganize these, and please do Hazra and Bartleby, what's your initiative before the dice roll?
+5.
+5, Hazra.
Mute.
Muted. Sorry. Initiative before the dice roll.
Yeah, so when it says initiative, look to the right of it now, give it a number.
7.
Not the 0, the next one of them.
7. So you will actually go before Bartleby. So yeah, is that the right order? Gulliver, what's your
8.
Oh yeah, not quite. Thank you. 8. I go before you.
I should go after the ram as well.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, that should be everyone then. So yeah, so we're going to go into combat now. So everybody will be rolling, etc., and acting within combat rounds. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing. I'm just stopping that music and putting my battle music on. Okay, so the Borkin acts first, and on its first action point, it moves to engage you, Hengist. So that's his first sort of like action. Is yeah. So that's that'll be a movement. So Gulliver, you're next.
Gulliver's going to sort of like almost like scowl at Lelan after he's been ordered into the corridor, and he's going to sort of like say, "Don't think I'm not coming back for them. As soon as I found the key," and he's going to then head round the corner.
Okay, cool. Hazra, you're up.
Can I move through friendly?
Yeah, you can move through friendly. You can't move through enemy. You can move through friendly as long as you don't end on the same square or location as a friendly.
Wonderful. Right. Okay. Let me find my.
Can I just say that you've heard the dog barking, but you wouldn't know that the Borkin's there unless you can actually see around that corner, because at the present moment in time, Hengist hasn't acted.
Nobody said anything. Yep. So in which
Correct.
case, I will just dither.
Okay, and therefore, Bartleby, you're up next. You can see the Borkin.
In that case, Bartleby is gonna mumble, "Oh no, Borkin," and then move forward to about here if I can. That's my action.
Cool. Yeah, and Laram comes up further up behind you, Gulliver. Hengist, it's your turn.
Hengist is going to hold his action in a defensive.
Okay, you got hold action. Cool. Okay, so this is now the second. This is combat turn 2.
Sorry, before you go any further, if Bartleby's moved away, I will use my turn to move forward if I can.
No, because
dithering.
You dithered.
Oh, is that your whole turn dithering?
Yeah. So if you dither, you do nothing. If you hold your action, what you can do is use it, but you can also only use hold action for
reaction.
Reaction, yeah. So we're back up to the top. So this Borkin takes a swipe with his spear at you, and he hits.
Hengist is gonna try and parry with his knife.
Okay, go for it. And there's not a lot of difference between a knife and a dagger. You have used a dagger. Is it a knife that you have in your weapon skill?
So I've it's named as a dagger.
Yeah,
Because
that's fine. So you parry the blow. His spear, I think, is medium for short.
No, sorry, mine is small.
Yeah, yours. Hazra is a short spear, medium.
It is.
Yeah. Okay. Then, so because you succeeded, you will parry. You'll take half the damage because your weapon is smaller. So this is going into your chest.
Mm-hmm.
And where's my short spear gone? There. There. And you take 6 points to your chest. Do you have any hit points left in that?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
No, is that 6 points before it's halved, or?
Oh yeah, sorry. 4
no,
points.
sorry.
Yeah.
4 points.
So you take 4 points. No, 3
Really?
points. Yeah, 3 points. Sorry. So you take 3 points as he sort of like whacks his spear towards you, and it sort of like slides into and cuts your chest, and you suddenly realise that you almost like feel quite powerless without your armor protecting you. That was the Borkin's attack, and Gulliver, you're up.
Okay, so
just so you know, Hazra and Gulliver, you are now aware that there's some kind of combat happening down there.
Yeah.
And also because Bartleby said Borkin.
Yeah.
okay, so Gulliver is going to go past and round the corner.
Yeah.
And he's going to stop near next to Bartleby, and he's going to say, "Bartleby, I need Amriel's blessing."
Okay. Hazra, you're up.
Right, see what's going on. I don't seem to have my measuring tool anymore.
No,
Changed.
I think it's gone. I think
If you put it to non-snapping,
Non-stopping, yeah.
it takes it up.
and then you have show to others and hide to others.
Ooh, that's cool.
So
Yeah.
you can sort of like show it that everybody can see it, or just some people.
Okay, well, oh, get off. I can move to just behind
Okay.
Hengist this
Yeah.
turn.
Cool. And Bartleby, you're up.
I don't think I have any action points left.
Okay, cool. Yeah, just be careful, guys, because remember your action points are reduced because of your fatigue.
Oh,
Yeah, I only have one, and I used it to move.
Yeah,
so I'm
so
probably just
your actions, if you only have 2 actions, then you only have 1. If you have 3 actions, because you're exhausted, you have -1 to your actions.
Ah, I didn't know that. That's good.
Okay. So Bartleby, you're done. Laram moves down, but will only be able to get to here. Mainly because of the effect in the corridor. And Hengist.
I've got no actions left.
Okay. And Finiel can stay where they are. So does anybody have any actions left for turn 3?
No, I've just noticed it auto alters it in your.
Yeah, it should do. Yeah, it's just that if you're not used to it. Okay, then. So we are going on to combat round 2, turn 1, and let me just clear that. And it's my Borkin's turn first. So it's going to try to nab you with its spear again, and it gets. Its skill is 66, and it gets a 66. So that has hit.
Hengist is going to try and parry with his knife again.
Okay then. Yes, nice one. Not a crit, but yeah. So you'll take half the damage again. Oh, sorry. It's in your left arm, and it does 1 point of damage. So you actually manage to take the arm out the way, and it just sort of like slides. You still take 1 point of damage because you can never get lower than 1, but you just take 1 point of damage to your left arm.
Scratches through the skin.
Yeah. Gulliver, you up?
Gulliver is starting to cast a spell.
Okay. Spell casting.
The spell that he is doing, it'll come up in a second.
Hadra, what are you planning on doing?
Well, I'm going to move to engage because I won't be able to reach my torch from here, will I? So I'll have to move to engage this turn.
Yes, you need to move to engage. Yeah. So so you're just going to move on your first action.
I'm moving to just there to the side.
Cool. And Bartleby, you're up.
Bartleby would like to pray for Amriel to fill Gulliver with the energy necessary to perform his acts of great power.
Yeah, so I am going to allow you to use your passion for Amriel to augment your role, because you have great faith at the moment because you knew she would send somebody to help you, and it appeared. So you think that Amriel's actually with you at the moment. So remember, you will need a formidable success to actually cast the spell. What's your passion for Amriel?
58, and is that 1/5 of that?
Yeah.
So that would be 11.6 or probably 12.
12, yeah.
Let me jump back over to magic page.
So on your is it a folk magic spell? Yeah. So just put add 12 temporary in your folk magic, and then you can roll it, and it'll sort everything out for you.
Awesome. Okay, I need to get a 35. Big money. Big money. Could I use a point of luck to switch it?
You certainly can, which would give you exactly 35. And tell Gulliver what he feels.
I imagine since you're starved and tired and thirsty and fatigue's kind of associated with all that to an extent, you probably feel any lightheadedness kind of from not eating kind of melt away into the background a little bit. Not completely, but feel a second win almost, I would think.
Yeah, and you suddenly find that your fatigue, Gulliver, has completely and utterly gone.
Oh, excellent.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So that's Bartleby on 13. Loran moves through you and comes to this side. Hengist, you up.
Hengist is going to try and attack this thing now.
Okay.
With his little knife. No.
No. Do you wish to use any luck?
No.
Okay. So you sort of like take a stab at this Borkin and miss it altogether. And Finiel comes round to the back and is almost like acting as rear guard. Okay, so combat round 2, turn 2. Borkin goes first. The Borkin is now faced by 3 opponents, so he's going to roll his evade and succeeds. Okay, so if anybody would like to stop him, you need to roll your evade or not. It will cost you an action point.
Oh, I can't then.
I'm going to try.
Okay.
As soon as I see him trying to move away, I want to try to clinch him.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
The description is everything.
Yeah, you sort of like clinch him, and he sort of like fails.
What does that mean?
Just
grab him by the scruff of his clothes.
Yeah, and so that's the Borkin on 15. Gulliver, you're on 15. Has remembered to take off an action point.
Okay, so as Gulliver's been stood there, he sort of like had his hand out, and this globe of water has been sort of like hovering over, but getting bigger. And then as he comes to the end of the incantation, he sort of like closes his hand, and the ball disappears, and the spell comes off.
Okay, do I get a resist?
It's resisted on evade, but I need to roll first.
Okay, cool. Go for it. Yeah, you succeed. My evade at standard is 36.
Yeah, you get it then.
Yeah, so you try to yank the spear out of the Borkin's hands, and he almost like senses that it's leaving his hand, and he grabs it even tighter. You try to yank it out, but you aren't successful. Hazra, you up.
No, I've got no extra points left.
Okay, and Bartleby, you up. If you got action points left.
Muted Bartleby.
I don't have any action points, but I do have a question.
Yeah,
mechanically speaking. In the case of if you're evading to like hold on to your spear, in this case, does that use an action point, or is that considered a free action?
It's considered a free action, I think, but Gulliver will look it up for me.
Then that's all I have for my
What
turn.
am I looking up? Is
Whether or not resisting a spell, i.e. rolling your evade, is actually an action or not. I don't think it is, because it's just like a spell resist. But do check it, Gulliver, and let me know. And we'll move on, and then we'll come back to it. Right, Laram takes a swing. Yeah, and hits in the head.
Yeah.
And does that.
Does 22 points of damage.
Does
Back at the menu.
Yeah, does 10 points of damage with what appears to be some kind of sword. It looks to be quite hefty, and your connection to the server has been interrupted.
I just got that.
And he sort of like takes an almighty slash with his sword to the Borkin, and the blade actually goes in the side of the Borkin's face, and almost it sort of like lets out an almighty grunt, and then he sort of like Laram sort of like pushes his hand on the face of the Borkin, and then slides it out as blood sort of like splatters all down onto the floor, and the Borkin dies before you.
I will reach down and pick up the short spear.
Yeah, he has a short spear. It's just a normal one. The damage you should have.
Yeah.
His is 1d8, but I don't know what yours are.
Yeah, exactly the same. One D8.
Cool.
Right.
You just have to bear with me, because roll 20 is trying to start, and it's not loading.
Yeah, mine's crashed now.
I can still move around. Do I need to restart it, or?
No, it's loading back in now, I think. Just refreshed it. It's just gathering steam.
So do we need to refresh or not?
No, mine crashed, and I couldn't do anything with it.
I've got the red logo on the screen saying your connection server has been interrupted. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, well, I had that, but then I couldn't move anything. Everything was frozen on my screen, so I literally had to refresh it.
Right.
But you refresh unless you have to.
That's your freeze. Yep.
It's saying loading, mapping dungeons. Yeah. So so you can see the corridor still, although I can't. So this Borkin seems to be dead on the floor. The dog's almost like back off a bit, and Laram sort of like bats one of the cages or the snout of the dog, which causes it to sort of like whelp and hide over in the corner and to the back of the cage, as they suddenly realise that they're probably faced with considerable foes, that they're actually going to. I'm still trying to establish
I was just going to say to Hengist, get the shield.
Hengist is going to slap Loram on the back, say, well done, grab the shield, and then he's going to carry on moving down the corridor.
Yeah, okay, so just 1 second, because this might start to prove difficult now.
Sorry.
Well, whilst that's happening, Gulliver's going to do something that isn't going to cause you problems. Gulliver is going to go to the... I can't move my character. Oh, can I? Oh, yes, I can. Gulliver is going to go to the boar person that's on the floor.
Yeah.
He's going to start searching him to see whether or not he can find anything that resembles a key or anything that could be used as another weapon or anything of value like coins or anything like that.
Okay,
But looking for a key to begin with.
He doesn't. What he seems to be carrying with him is those 2 leashes that he had on either side of your belt. You figure he's probably the owner of the 2 dogs. The 2 dogs look like they're almost like hunter tracker dogs, and you think what would probably happen is that, you know, if anybody got away, these are, number one, acting as a like sentry, guard dogs to bark if anybody comes close, but it's also you think they might be let loose, you know, and to follow him, but he does not have a key on him at all.
What's the just out of interest? Is it a am I fatigued again now? Was it just for that combat, or is it?
Yes, that's now gone, and I think, if I remember the description of the spell, once the spell's gone, I think you return to your normal fatigue level. I can't actually see the description because I've just...
Yeah, bigger makes the recipient feel alive and energetic, being used to offset the effect of strenuous physical labour. For the spell's duration, all physical effects gained from laborious activity are ignored, but return on the spell's dismissal.
Yeah.
So, right, okay. So I am fatigued. It nearly worked, Mr. Pickles. You did your part very well.
Thanks.
I got a good roll as well. It was just as usual.
Game played 5 hours shard 20 of 30 is down. Games hosted on this shard are currently the only ones being affected. Please check Firebase status for more updates.
Yay, server's crashed.
I can't get back in. I'm sitting here at loading.
Yeah.
But at least I did my spell properly.
At least we survived. Who said
We're in a better spot now.
Yeah.
than we started in.
Hengist has got a massive cut and bruise on his face. He's got a slash on his arm, slash on his chest. He's fine.
Just making you look more rugged.
Exactly.
So
Might have to get one of the tattoos redone on his chest, but there we go. Just have a massive scarf.
I love Mr. Tiddles.
No, my leg's still knackered, but I can still hobble around, which is always good.
And yet everybody ignores the dying children in the cells.
Yeah, but they're dying children, but
they're unconscious.
they're unconscious. We'd have to carry them. So
we could use some shields, armour.
No. Just tie their arms and legs to each other, and then wear one on the front.
Wear one on the front. That's right.
Sounds like heavy armor.
It's the way forward. A meat shield.
All I can say is your deeds will go down in history.
The idea, Chugs, is to get stuff, get sister, free prisoners, get out in that order.
To be fair, I was going to say the deeds won't go down in history because nobody will ever know.
Yeah, because we're probably going to die in a second anyway.
Yeah.
Bartleby has oratory, so I guess I would be the one to tell our tales, unless anybody else has oratory.
No. So Bartleby is the one who's got to get out and tell the deeds.
Yes, so Bartleby must not leave.
We left the children behind.
Brave.
So Rowan.
Actually, I can get them out.
Yeah, but they go straight back again.
Yeah, as soon as you release the spell, they're going to go back into the cell.
Kids, you're free!
No, you're not.
But if I don't
I'm
release,
a boy.
if I don't cancel the spell,
But what happens when you fall asleep?
Yeah, forever you'll be holding that spell until
Because you're already so fatigued.
But that's
you fall
what-
asleep and then go back.
4 years later.
that's how the story is. That's what bards will sing about. How when Bartleby gets out and says how I stayed behind, casting the spell to get them out their cells, but I had to stay there myself to save 2 children.
But then when the bandits come back and kill you, they'll come back.
Mm.
Well,
Dun, dun, dun.
You wouldn't.
But we won't know because you stayed behind. You could have snuck out the back.
well, that's it.
Yeah, I'm staying behind. You go ahead. Go without me. It's all fine.
That's it.
That's the story I'll tell.
Yeah.
And if the audience complains, I'll just start shouting at them angrily.
Oh, hey, nonny, no.
You don't know what my friend's dead.
Yes.
Maybe there's a difference between me cancelling the spell and me dying. Maybe because magical energy is just
I don't want to try this theory.
completely gone.
I think if you died, your spell would be cancelled.
Cancelled. Yes.
You've always got to put a dampener on everything.
Or maybe
I'm a
your spirit
realist.
will wander around that marsh, keeping it going.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
And then another band of adventurers will come back and kill you because you're a ghost.
There was I was watching Sleepiest D&D game, and they play a high level D&D campaign, so they're sort of like 8th level, and they walked into a room and the
Sorry, did you say 8th level?
Abrams, that's not high.
yeah, no, it is for a lot of D&D campaigns that they normally tend to be low level, and they went into a room, and Sleepiest, the channel owner, she plays a cleric or a paladin called Susan, and she did divine sense and felt all these sort of like undead around her in the room. There's sort of like hundreds of these undead, and the Dax, who plays the cleric, turned undead. So anything under a certain, if you remember the turn undead rules, it affects hit points or hit dice, and so anything below this level, say a hit dice on things like skeletons, because he's a powerful cleric, they would just explode. And he sort of like held it up, and the DM laughed, and he says if they're under a normal hit dice, they will explode. And he says, right, okay, then, so you suddenly realise that there's probably 50 down both sides of the room. And he said, and how many have exploded? And he said, none. And so they were literally in this room with all. I think the last thing he said was that this is going to be a mighty long combat.
We could have done with that spell, couldn't we, Pickles? The other night.
Yeah, Call of Cthulhu, we needed
We needed that, yeah.
certainly.
Right, guys, and mine's not coming. I've tweeted them and said, sorry, what's the ETA for this? Because we're in the middle of a game. You know, you got to say this will be done by so-and-so.
Did you put I'm a premium user? Hashtag
A pro user.
Pro user.
Yeah. Well,
Hashtag live streaming.
do you know, the thing is, they have to be careful because there's so many other things on the market. Well, Fancy Ground is becoming more and more popular. You know,
Is it more stable, I take it?
well, Fancy Grounds is strange because I think I run it on my machine.
Ah, so you're the server.
Yeah.
My red bar's gone.
Oh, my red bar's gone.
Everybody's moving.
We're moving back.
Ah.
Well, we were moving anyway.
They heard the call of the GM and went,
Yeah.
sugar.
See, it pays to actually tweet.
Yep.
Somebody liked my tweet as well.
Say, oi, what's crack?
I bet it was Mr. Pickles.
No, it was Jack. It was Jack Dyer,
The lad.
Well, now I know what I need to do.
who joined in October 2013 and has only done in all that time 10 tweets. That's all.
So sounds like me then.
I was going to say, I
It's not about
understand.
how much you
14.
I read, not tweet.
Yeah.
Don't know-
Okay.
don't know-
So let's. So the dogs are sort of like cowering in the corner, and the Borkin is dead. Let me colour him in red for you, so we know that he's dead.
But he had nothing on him at all.
No, just these two leashes. Sorry, who's Hazra? You've got the spear. Did
Yes.
somebody take the shield?
Yes.
Okay, so the shield is actually it's a pelt-ast shield.
Ooh.
So it's literally has 3 passive blocks locations, and it's capable. It has 4 AP, 12 hit points. Size is large, and it can do bash and stun location if wanted. And its damage is 1d4 if you use it as a weapon.
Did you use specials on Hengist?
No, I didn't.
Ah, you're so kind.
You are kind because you
You could have
probably
been
killed me.
paying him.
Okay,
It
so
was a piggy, not a specialist.
Yeah, it's
Stick you with a stick.
he was an animal handler in any case rather than a combat specialist. Okay, so I'm just going to move you all back so I can pick you all up to move you on to the next.
We've only got 3 minutes. Before the
Yeah, I know, but I think there's a good place to stop.
I have a question before we stop, and I
Yeah.
probably should have asked this a while back.
Yes, you are a cleric.
What's this game we're playing?
Yeah, what are we playing?
Why don't I have a laser gun?
Does Bartleby have 2 arms still?
Yes.
Oh, excellent. Should I do I have a bracelet on one of these arms?
Yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
Oh, okay.
Gulliver checked it earlier on. Right.
Okay, good.
I'm just organising this into some kind of order, and then once I put you there, feel free to readjust yourselves. Okay, so so I'm going to move you across. Dynamic lighting should be on.
Oh, my connection's gone again.
Well,
Same again.
mine hasn't, so we're continuing.
Mine's gone.
Mine's just popped up, but can you still see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So don't try to move your characters because I can still move them. So I'll move them. So you seem to be coming up. A set of stairs at the end starts to go up, and it's one of these that goes up, landing, up. Yeah, does that make sense? And you seem to be climbing up to almost like the ground level of the building, what it is, and then you get to where you are now, Hengist, and you can actually see that the stairs carries on up. Can you see that?
No.
Um,
I'm imagining it. It's fine.
Can you
Yes,
not-
sir. We've lost
No,
one.
mine's crashed. My roll 20's crashed, so I can't.
Everybody else's roll 20's gone, so you can move how you are in worlds, but we can't.
Oh, you can't see it.
No, we can't see anything that you're doing.
Okay then. So I think the best thing to do will be to call it there, unless yours are up,
No.
Yeah.
because otherwise.
It's a good point to leave it at anyway.
And just
No,
check.
mine's gone. Oh, no, I'm loading in again. Critically hitting.
I don't want to refresh mine.
No, I'm not refreshing.
I've just refreshed mine. It's not going in. It's paused on critically hitting.
Okay. Okay. So I've moved you back to the starting point now because I can still do that, but I'll check tomorrow whether or not you're there. So I mean, it's 10 o'clock, so I think the best thing to do is to call it there, and then we can pick it up because the next encounter is coming up soon, but you'll need the map to actually see it. and I think it's a good time to sort of like stop it as you're coming up onto the ground floor. So just so you know, you've come up some stairs, you've come to obviously the ground floor. You can see arrow slits in the wall right near to where you are. The corridor, there seems to be an opening in the corridor in front of you, so it looks like you can actually go out into a corridor, but the stairs do continue on up as well, and that's where we'll leave it for this week, and then we'll come back next week and pick it up from there. Okay, yeah, well done, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it gave you a bit of a terror, a bit of a worry at one point.
It did, until we started pulling out the rolls at the right time.
Yeah, I know. I shall be now known as Hasra the Hamster Khan.
Yeah, so yeah, as you gnawed at Hengist's butt. Sorry.
No, there was a clear gap between Hengist's wrist and his butt.
Hey, Hengist, what happens in the cell
stays in the cell. Yeah. So next Saturday we'll pick it up from there. Your fatigue will still be there. You will get a relaunch of your luck points. We'll do that. Magic points will not be refreshed because you haven't actually rested, and your fatigue will be exactly where it is at the moment, but we'll go from there next week. So if you're watching the channel, sorry that it's a bit of an early finish, but I hope you understand, and like I say, thank you to you all coming round or coming out and watching us tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, then press that follow button. If you didn't, then come back next week. It'll be even better, and only when you get right to the end of the adventures, the campaign, will you know whether or not it's good or not. So yeah, so we will be back next Saturday with more Mythras. I'll be back tomorrow, making up for not being able to stream for my whole time today, so I'll probably start around about 1 or 2 o'clock.
I'm doing a 24-hour one, 12 hour.
No, I'm not. So I will see you all then, but until then, can I please say to each and every one of you, please remember to be who you are and say what you think, because the people who mind don't matter, and the people who matter don't mind. Have fun, and I will catch you all later, and until then, consider yourself well and truly waffled. Have fun, guys. Bye.
Bye.